Hello, 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 my little ice cubes, and welcome to Anime Colosseum. I am your glorious, fantastic host with the biggest, best tits around. Kata never melt.
Hmm. Greetings, Chithonians, everybody, and I am the imp with the biggest ass around, Erica Ironblood. Hmm.
Yes, and now this is episode 12 of Anime Colosseum. And I gotta say, we're doing
Hmm.
a good job with a nice flow. However, I will
Hmm.
admit, I am kind of sort of running out of some steam here with the ideas. So if any of you.
Also,
Oh,
personally, I think we could use some, I don't know, structure, a little bit more structure here.
yes, structure's always good.
Maybe like when we're talking about certain topics, we have like a little um like graphics or like maybe if we're giving like naming points or something, we have like a little text box or something with those points.
Ooh, I think
Just a
that is a
thought.
good idea. Yes, I do like that
Mm,
idea. I'll remember that for next time we do the, podcast.
mm-hmm.
However, though, if any of you out there can come up with ideas for podcast, well, ideas, then by all means. Now, with that being said and done, welcome yet again to Anime.
Rocket propelled grenades, those are my favorite. No, not well, maybe. uh,
But with that being said, first, before we begin this podcast, we must do this week's anime for you to watch thing. I have to
it's
come up with
more
a jingle.
it's a recommendation.
Yes, recommendation. Shun,
Yeah.
shun.
So okay. So due to recent events, current events, I would recommend folks watch Shimonetta or A Boring World Where the Concept of Dirty Jokes Don't Exist.
Yes, and
A,
this. Oh,
a essentially a dystopian future where essentially any lewd, raunchy, or otherwise vulgar behavior or language is considered illegal, and everyone has to wear these wrist and neck things that record everything you say and monitor your hand movements. So, just to make sure you don't say any naughty words or do any naughty things. Basically features a uh, um, essentially it showcases how fucked up this world is, and also it's about a resistance rebellion organization called Sox, who essentially are trying to stop or like combat this oppressive uh, regime or system.
and I, for one, absolutely love this anime because
If you're
first.
gonna want, oh,
Oh, well, what I was about to say is, first, this anime, sadly, is it's like that Idiotopia movie, the yeah,
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. Thank you, Idiocracy. Where it's like,
Hmm.
man, this was funny to watch back then, but now it's like, wow, kinda, kinda leaning a bit too hard here on the
Or 1984 Animal Farm. You know, that's those sorts of books where it's clearly a warning. It's supposed to be seen as a warning. Don't try to emulate this, but some jackass decides it's a good idea to emulate it.
Of course. And who would have thought that
Right?
this silly little anime about a person wearing panties over their face, fighting for, the right to be rude and raunchy, would be predicting the future, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, if you are gonna watch this, I'd highly advise you to watch the original Japanese sub,
Hmm?
mainly due to the fact that this was the. Hold on. Hold on. Mew. Yeah. This was one of the last projects that Mew Misaki voiced in.
And rest in
Mew
peace to
Misaki.
her.
Yeah. Mew. Is that? Yeah. Mew Matsuki. Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
and again, rest in peace.
She voiced. She provided the voice for Anna. And yeah, she died of, I think, leukemia.
And
Hold on.
again, rest in peace for her. But again, by all means, you should totally watch this.
No. She died from lymphoma.
Mm.
Okay. What the fuck is leukemia? Hold on.
Leukemia is the thing that you get in your lungs.
Oh, okay, so it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, very similar.
But again, you should totally watch
Similar,
this.
like.
It's 12 episodes, and it is by all means hilarious. And it's again.
There's actually a segment in the third or fourth act of the anime, which showcases essentially bad actors hijacking a political, basically hijacking
a bus.
your movement in order to essentially enrich themselves, basically. There's this guy who's like, "Oh, I'm literally doing the same thing as you are," and it's just him indulging in his like fetish, and also he does actually like bad things. I believe. I do believe. I think he does like, yeah, yeah.
And again, it's just hilarious but sad that this is an anime that's becoming more true than it should. But we digress.
I recommended it mainly because once again we have even more stories of Japanese publishers and Japanese publishers having to take more adult oriented content off of their stores in order for these two payment processors to allow them to use their services.
And again, and I say this as nicely as possible, I hope every bird goes boom boom on that bald loser's head.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, and also there's the whole Texas's weird like ban on that stuff.
Yes. But also, let's not forget, might as well just expose them here and now in front of God.
Oh shit! She voiced Kotoko 001. Kotoko.
Nice.
That's fun.
But might as well just expose them right here. But also, don't forget that Visa is A-OK with OnlyFans and also Diddy's stuff. So never forget to point out their hypocrisy. But we're not here for that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're not here for,
Actually, for my anime cookbook, I'm making imitation. Essentially, you can make imitation of those cookies. They're essentially going to be lemon shortbread cookies.
I hope to God it's imitation.
Yeah.
But anywho. So, ladies and gentlemen, onward with the show. Since we don't want to, carry on with this, we'll wait till we do the censorship localization segment again. But anywho, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are talking about RPGs. And
technically, it's more like the history of RPGs and fantasy in Japan and anime to an extent.
Yes, and also basically we're going to discuss our favorite, RPG, fantasies, etc. But first, Erica, tell the
Erica. No, I'm not. Okay.
Tell the boys and girls at home.
What?
You know how this segment goes.
Well,
I
okay, so
We're
um,
professional, I swear.
hold on, hold on one moment. Let me cough a bit.
Alright,
Sorry.
alright.
Sorry, clearing throat.
Alright.
So in the early days of like anime and stuff, most of Japan was focused on science fiction. There was like a lot of science fiction conventions and stuff. Hell, Studio Gainax got its start making the opening animation for Daikon, which was a science fiction convention. Daikon 3, Daikon 4 were for Daikon, which translates to giant or large convention, essentially.
Mm.
So science fiction was most of the popular anime was the most popular genre, which is why you had stuff like Astro Boy, Battleship Yamato, Space Pirate, Captain Harlock, that sort of things. Galaxy Express 999, I think is what that one was called.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one where this one kid wants to become a robot, and they're like, okay, get on this train. It's gonna take a while, but you will get to this one planet where you will become a robot or something like that. I haven't actually seen the anime, but I just know like a brief synopsis.
Yes.
So one of the very first role-playing games to come to Japan was a science fiction one, where essentially it was more going from planet to planet, establishing diplomatic and trade stuff. It was what would be it? It was mostly like exploring planets, establishing trade, being like merchants and commercing with various aliens and humans and stuff. I don't think it was like because it was new and also not a lot of people were known about it. It wasn't. It was the first one, but it wasn't like super popular. Eventually, also because Japanese books were a specific size and format, the Lord of the Rings books, when they were finally translated into English, instead of encompassing 3 books, for Japanese, it encompassed like 7, 8, maybe I think 10 or something books.
So essentially it was like MySpace, not MySpace, YouTube back in the day where you could watch anime, but it was only 8 to 10 minutes long, if
Yeah.
that.
It's more like for Japanese, like the Japanese like size for their books was like rather small and like thin.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially was like the size of your average manga, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I recall correctly. Anyway, so when Dungeons and Dragons first came to Japan, I think TSR, or yeah, it was still TSR. They basically did not like condense it in order for it to appeal to Japanese. So you had these huge books by Japanese standards, and people were like turned off by that. Most of the people who, but D&D eventually caught on because of I forget what it's called, but essentially people who played a campaign of D&D would record and retell the sessions and their campaign through like a written story, like an account of it. I forget exactly what they were called, but essentially it was like those campaign diaries or campaign story videos you see on YouTube, like Fool's Gold or I forget, or Dien de Kine, story. I forget what their new. They changed what their channel name was now, so I forget what they're actually called. But yeah, essentially those sorts of things, but in written format. Eventually, they would move to like an animated format. Well, animated is a strong word, but eventually they would be like flash-looking cartoon. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So one of the first ones of this was Record of Lodoss War, which was really popular. And essentially, this inspired a bunch of other people to make RPGs based off of Record of Lodoss War. Eventually, though, because the author of Record of Lodoss War wanted to have his work be a part of the Dungeons and Dragons lore and world, but TSR were like, no. But he wanted, I assume, hold on, actually, what stemmed from, I forget, why was Sword World created? Okay, let me see. Okay, so okay. So basically it was created, also it's called replays. They were called replays. So Sword World was created to provide a alternative to Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, because of the popularity of Record of Lodoss War and other replays, how this Sword World differed from Dungeons and Dragons was essentially you had your class, and there's like some rules and stuff. Like each class fulfilled a role in the party, and you couldn't like. I think I don't know if it was like a rule or like a guide, but it was like not. You shouldn't like choose a role that another player has already had. Also, one of the things was you are essentially an adventurer, and they created what the idea of an adventurers guild. Which, if you look at a lot of fantasy anime, you'll notice that that plays a key part in some either key or a notable part in the anime, such as the Adventurers Guild in Overlord, or the Adventurers Guild in, say, Konosuba, where, where actually the main characters, well, at least Kazuma and Aqua, get their classes assigned, and classes like were an integral part of role-playing games in Japan at this time. So, anyway, the replays inspired Record of Lodoss War inspired Japanese role-playing games, as in the video games, such as Final Fantasy and I think Dragon Quest. Was Dragon Quest created in the 80s? I think. I don't know. I'm not all that familiar about like
Well,
the
no,
time.
Dragon Quest was definitely 80s. I want to say 80s, but like I know like Dragon Quest. Wait, am I thinking? Yeah, Dragon Quest Kai, I
It was
believe.
the one. It was the game that their art style was inspired by Akira Toriyama.
Yeah. It was definitely the 80s. But like
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry if my like stuff is a little all over the place.
No,
By the
it's right.
way.
It's right. You're doing great, Erica. Everyone, give Erica an applause.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the introduction to fantasy, like the rise of fantasy, most places it came through books, novels such as Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, those sorts of books. In Japan, it was mostly through Dungeons and Dragons. and to an extent, Sword World. Most fantasy anime, because of this inspiration, a lot of fantasy anime mostly take a European style like approach, like what is it? Environment and
Themes, aesthetics.
aesthetics. Thank you.
Yes.
While there are some where it's like obviously feudal Japan with like Inuyasha.
Yeah.
That is the sound of much rejoicing. Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, no.
Like Inuyasha, it's fantasy and it's set in ancient Japan. Most fantasy anime is set in and manga is set in a more European style world.
You got like Shield Hero. You got to be fair, insert any and every single isekai here because 9 times out of 10,
The reason why, fun fact about isekai, the reason why there is so many isekai and why they vary in quality is because most isekai originated in light novel form. With light novel, you don't have to be an artist. You can write. And yeah, you can, if in the world of self-publication, that means there is a lot of stuff published. Essentially, it's like walking through a used media store and going through the romance novel section.
I see. But
You know, like, sorry, my mom had like a huge collection of like these romance novels, and I was like, "What? Do you read these?" And actually, I don't even think I asked her if she read them. It just seemed like she just had them for the sake of having them. I don't think I saw her read any of them.
I know what you mean. Like, I remember, even though it wasn't, those novels, but no, like, when you with your grandparents or whoever, they got, a book of encyclopedias, and it's like, do you even use these encyclopedias?
I can tell you my great grandfather used his encyclodias for something. But unfortunately, this is YouTube, and that's not appropriate.
Nani?
Throw it. Book throw.
Oh.
Great grandpa used book throw.
Okay, we're gonna move on
to
to
be
something
fair,
more
this
wholesome.
is okay. Anyway.
Yes. This is a Christian YouTube. No, it's not. But anywho.
No. I'm not even a Christian.
But anywho. But no. So, as you know, I do like that. The West kind of inspired Japan with the RPG aesthetics because, again,
I mean, literally, the West inspired them to make anime.
Yeah, and
also, they inspired a samurai to make Anpan.
I mean, to be fair, it is kind of a thing of, back and forth. We inspired those guys inspire us. Like, you got like Star versus the Forces of Evil and Amphibia. That's literally an isekai where, character goes into a different dimension. Yeah, sure, Star versus is a bit different, but you get the general idea. And, kind of, staying on track, though, it's
so sorry. We're on the topic of RPGs, so I need to move on to the next section. So, do you know what the most popular tabletop RPG in Japan is?
If you would have said, I see what you did there. I always do it to you, so clever girl. But anywho,
I'm not a velociraptor.
Anyway, but no.
So answer the question.
But okay, now in all fairness, if you would have said popular game, it would have been Dragon Quest, hands down.
I specified tabletop RPGs.
Yes. And I do remember. Wait, was it you who I was talking to, or was it my friend who I was talking to about? It's the Curse of Cthulhu. It was you who I was talking to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Call it Cthulhu.
Yes, Call of Cthulhu, which I gotta say, of
Mhm.
all the, tabletop games, Call of Cthulhu is a bit interesting because you will die if you get stabbed. I mean, granted, it does depend where you get
It's
stabbed at, but it is
it's
a,
more realistic.
yeah, yeah.
You essentially have like 3 or 4 hit points to essentially it, and most of it is you are an investigator or just essentially some ordinary person that has been forced into a situation where you are dealing with forces beyond your mortal comprehension.
Mhm.
Like in the festival, a guy is like called from his extended relatives um, to join in a festival for essentially what is essentially the winter holiday. And he essentially finds himself almost um, being shit. He almost essentially gets on this creature called a Bayaki
Mhm.
and is taken to some unknown destination. He ends up falling and then is found in the snow outside the town. Shit, I did a terrible job. Um. Oh, yeah. A lot of it's inspired by H.P. Lovecraft novels, where literally a person um is ordinary person, and they find themselves in a situation where they are dealing with the supernatural and scientifically impossible,
Mhm.
which causes them to either die or go insane, or get like, or uh, turn to certain vices like alcohol um, or
Happy pills.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, like
Pills.
in the novel Dagon.
Mhm. But but yeah, like I said though, it is quite interesting that that of all the tabletops is
I
probably
think, from what I understand, it's because you don't have to. You Since it's a horror game, you don't need to worry about failure, and sometimes failure can be even more fun.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, what sort of weird? Okay, you have failed to retain your sanity after watching this person, their person's like skin like rip open and revealing and turning inside out, revealing that they are in fact a mass of tentacles and mouths and eyeballs and other grotesque features. And now you like are you I don't know, you have um
Gotta go
a
constitution,
fear
no
of
wisdom.
actually I don't think they do. Hold on, I think there's a different like system for. It's a D100 system, I believe, or maybe
Mm.
GURPS.
I see, I see, I see.
Sent like I think Puffin Forrest made a several videos on Call of Cthulhu and his character, and there's this one time when his character and another person went to investigate an Alaskan mining town, and
Mhm.
essentially the people dug too deep and uncovered an ancient alien forest, and these bugs essentially came out and essentially ate everyone until there were skeletons. And they managed to seal the cave system, but his one character like had a fear of, essentially had hallucinations of a bug, uh, like bugs crawling on his skin. So like, yeah, that's yeah. But yeah, there's some fun things where like you fail, but it's fun.
Yeah, I do kind of like
Uh,
that because it isn't the typical,
Also, there's an anime where literally the elder god Nyarlathotep is an anime schoolgirl essentially,
oh my. But though I
and I
do,
think she's dating like a boy or something. I
mhm.
forget what it was called, but like I discovered it when I was looking up why. There's a video. It's like why is Call of Cthulhu so popular in Japan? And
Well,
there's a lot of of content and stuff in Japan that is just fan made content, like stories and scenarios and stuff. That is all fan made. It's really awesome.
Nice. Well, again, that was pretty, cool and all. And also, the other thing I want to throw out there too about the whole Call of Cthulhu, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting compared to D&D because, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it's more realistic, meaning, and it's also kind of interesting because, let's be real, when it comes to fighting games or horror movies or whatever, you enjoy when the character gets something happening to them when they get electrocuted because of shenanigans, like if they get crushed by a refrigerator or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always it adds more, you know, uh, well, it adds more charm, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, though, now, kind of, still keeping it with, RPGs,
Mm-hmm.
technicality, and I learned this a while back, but not only is, Dragon Quest hella popular in Japan, it is so popular, in fact, that they do not allow it to be sold on weekdays. It can only be sold on the weekends because fans will called in sick of bullshit. I hate it.
Wait, can you repeat that?
oh,
What? Why is X popular in Japan? It all leads back to Skullgirl. Oh
giggity.
yeah. Also, like people loved like reading or listening to or watching the replays. You know, it's kind of like how if like a lot of people did let's plays of a certain video game, and that video game gets like really popular. Like when folks are like let's playing, I think Amnesia, a lot of it got really popular. I think
Mhm.
probably way more popular than it would if they hadn't, or if let's plays as a concept did not exist. You know, like a lot of yeah, essentially. Can you repeat what you were saying?
Sorry. Well, I was, pretending to cough, but the thing is, they're not allowed to sell Dragon Quest on weekdays due to people who call in quote unquote sick just so they could, buy the game
Ah,
and play it. You
oh,
know,
I see.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
traditional, what we used to do when we were kids or teenagers. I'm sick, I can't go to school, and so.
Bullshit. The only time I did not go to school is if I literally couldn't, literally would cause other people to get infected.
Wait, so you were the student that liked going to. Wow. Wow,
No,
okay.
no, no. It was mainly no. It's mainly because as I needed to be actually sick in order. I felt like I needed to actually be really actually sick
hmm
in order to be like, hey, I'm sick. Can I not go to school?
Oh, okay. I thought you were one of those kids who like, oh boy, school. I
I
sure
did
do
not
love
like
school.
school. I did not like it at all. Do
Okay.
not,
Okay. Alright.
yeah.
But anywho, let's get back on
Mhm.
track. But yes. So, what is the next shindig that we should cover for the RPGs and even
Well,
JRPGs?
let's talk about JRPGs, which is
Yes.
is which is while there are many different types of RPGs that come from Japan, the specific one that we designate as JRPG typically has certain elements such as a class system, renameable characters, though this may or may not be like always a thing,
Mhm.
and also random encounters, though sometimes that is not always the case,
Now,
such as with the Tales series where the monsters are on the field.
and also just throwing it out there, what is your favorite
Also, they're all turn based. Also, they're all turn based.
Well, to be
Hmm?
fair, what is your favorite battle mechanic? The turn-based, or where you can just, walk and go hog wild?
Um, hmm. I personally like turn-based, but sometimes um, real-time strategy is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
To be fair, I do kind of like that too, because, like, me and my opponent are attacking each other, which kind of.
Ultimately depends on what kind. Like if it's Final Fantasy where you have a party and there's like a select number of monsters, then obviously it's okay. But if it's like you have a bunch of monsters and a bunch of characters you control, and then it's not fun being turn-based because you have, okay, we've done our actions, now we have to wait for Goblin 1 to move around, and then all the other characters to just move, maybe attack. Yeah.
Me personally, I kind of can go either or. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
the turn base is always a nostalgic classic, but the where it's like everyone just goes hog wild. I think that's more strategic because if you are planning on using your attack, well, you also gotta watch out for your opponent because he's about to attack. But
Tales of Symphonia was a very fun game.
oh yes, although
I
sadly I never
especially
finished
loved.
it.
I also didn't. I did technically finish it. Yeah, I did.
Mm.
Hmm.
But as you were
Um,
saying.
Tales of Symphonia, it started out as like actually. So Tales of Symphonia had like an evolving difficulty for the combat. Originally, it was you have a limit. Okay, so you have a limited amount of movement and time. Right at the first chapter, you can just take your time. You don't have to worry about it. You can just move however you want, and but you can stay still and not have to worry about your turn, like the time limit of your turn going away. Then eventually, there's like, oh, you have a like at a certain point in time, you have to move, or else because the timer will start. And then it gradually increased in difficulty until it was essentially a real-time strategy game, like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, or or one of the Tales series.
And also, just throwing out there, my favorite, JRPG is definitely the Tales series. And
It really sucks that that I'm in so most most of the RPGs, like the JRPGs we had on our consoles.
mhm.
So, because Tales of Symphonia took so much memory, we literally only had one save file um, per GameCube memory card.
And for you whippersnappers out
So,
there,
unfortunately, one of my other siblings decided, I'm going to be playing this, and can play it. So, like, oh, okay.
I know exactly how you feel about that. But
Hmm.
now, one thing I will say though, like either or is still good. RPG or just plain JRPG.
Hmm.
Because both of them, I fun fact about me is I would have loved to be a RPG streamer, but the only issue is, well, that I do a lot of grinding, and I'm pretty sure no one wants to see me have to grind it to level, 10 or whatever to, move forward. I kind of do
I
things
mean,
in a specific way.
I did a stream. I did several streams, a short-lived stream series where I played the Slayer's SNES game,
Ah,
which was
nice.
essentially a JRPG. I only stopped because the translation of the ROM got really ridiculous and really difficult to understand.
So it's basically welcome to Doom.
No, it's more like they mistranslated a lot of the like spell attacks and stuff.
Oh, okay. So basically,
Yeah,
no one knew what the hell they would do. Okay, I gotcha. But
yeah.
oh, you know what? In all fairness,
Also, they didn't like explain what each spell did,
hmm
like even like a hint of it. So I had to like it was like shooting in the dark, unless obviously it was fireball or dragon slave or something like that.
well, just to throw this out there, um,
Mm.
while I will say my first in technicality RPG would be Super Mario RPG Legends of the Seven Stars,
Super Mario Home
and
RPG, it's
also that
fun
song
with
slaps
me.
too. That
Mm-hmm.
song fucking slaps. But
Mm-hmm.
fun fact, I wasn't able to finish that game because at the time I had a stepsister who, let's just say, wasn't a good person, and one day
Mm-hmm.
my cartridge disappeared. While I didn't see her do it, it's one of those things of let the record show, you know. If she did, it wouldn't surprise me. But thankfully, a few years ago, if not, wait, was it last year? But we got the Mario RPG for the Switch, and you know what's
Mm.
funny? I beat like the first boss you come across, Mac. When I was a kid, it took me a minute to beat him because like he smoked my ass at first,
Mm.
but when I did with the Switch, I won in 3 turns. Like holy
Mm.
shit! I don't know if it's the Switch that made it easier or have my skills become that of a god.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of stuff that we think we struggled with as kids, when we were like grown up, it's strangely easy. And they're like, how did I have this much trouble on this? Like with Sonic Adventure 1, when I was young, little, I just hated the Egg Viper. And now when I played it on stream, I was like, oh wow, this is pretty easy.
And by the way, just want to throw it out there. So well, to be fair, uh, what was your
Actually, I managed to beat Perfect Chaos on stream. So I was like, oh wow.
nice? But what was your first RPG or JRPG?
The first JRPG was probably Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Well, as for me, well, I don't know if it's in a JRPG or just regular RPG, but the one that I loved, the greatest RPG game in for the PlayStation 1, the one that me and my cousin, and it's the cousin that we all have.
Final Fantasy VIII.
No, fam. Legend of the Dragoon.
Oh,
Erica,
okay.
please let me know Legend of the Dragoon.
A lot due to like it was after my parents divorced, so I had Dragon. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yes! Abyss, yes, high five to you, my dude.
Legend of the
But
Dragoon.
no, you,
Oh, interesting.
yes,
Cool.
that soundtrack is so beautiful. The story is amazing. And also Rose. Let's just say Rose is very
Hmm.
let's say she would best be in an itchy anime.
Hmm.
Her move set is very unique.
Hmm.
But no. So okay. So other than that, though, whether it be again JRPGs or just regular RPGs, they are good. And also, you got the best. You got the one that everyone knows about. Final Fantasy. Everyone and their brother knows about it. The Tales series is my personal favorite. And let's see. And in fairness, the worst RPG I ever played. okay, I tried to play the Final Fantasy game on the NES, but I don't know what the hell I was not doing right. But it's the game where like you can even be the dog, and the dog is like the class that is dragon or whatever, and you can go out and do things, but yet I couldn't move past the second screen because it's like what am I supposed to do?
Hmm.
So it was one of the worst. Or actually, no, I take that back. I take that back. I take that back. The worst RPG game or JRPG game I have ever played was the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
I see.
That game, in my opinion, just it was not fun. It was very, I don't want to say mid, but what was RPG that you didn't like?
Um.
Maybe it was
Hmm.
boring or and
I don't really think I have one.
mm,
Um. Because, like I said, most of that time I watched my siblings play it, and then if I had the chance, I would try to play it myself
mm,
if it looked fun and interesting.
mm. Ah, okay, I
So,
gotcha, I gotcha. So
I
you
mean, maybe shit. What was that one RPG that was on the Sega Genesis that had grid-based combat?
you lost me at Sega Genesis because I've never had that, so
It was
I
on the Genesis collection for the Xbox 360. Hold on, what was it?
yeah, like I said, you lost me as soon as you said the Sega
Genesis
Genesis.
RPG that uses grid-based combat. She
And
game. Okay, Shining Force. I think it was
I
Shining
see.
Force. Yeah, it
And
was a tactical role-playing game. So basically, every time there was like a combat encounter, everyone was like on a grid, and you had to go to like have your character go to an enemy, fight the enemy, and like clear all like enemies off of this battle grid in order to end the encounter. It got really tedious in the first one because
but to be fair, Crystal Chronicles was also really tedious because
hmm,
it had to do
I'm pretty
these.
I'm, I'm pretty sure someone likes it. It might be like relatively.
Oh, I gotta
Actually, I
sneeze.
don't.
Hold on, I gotta.
Gesundheit.
Blah. Bless you,
Hmm.
Carter. Thank you, Erica.
I said Gesundheit.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Ah, blah, blah, blah. But my apologies, Erica.
Mm-hmm.
But anywho. But no, but listen. If you enjoy Crystal Chronicles or The Shining, whatever the game was, then so be it. Like,
Shining Force.
yeah, Shining
It's
Force.
not the Shining, it's Shining Force.
But like it's our opinion. You can like it if you
Mhm.
want. Because let's be
Oh,
real.
yeah.
Let's be real. The thing with well, not just RPGs, but any good game is that does that nostalgia. Case in point, kind of
Mhm.
jumping back to Mario RPG for a second. This was a game that I got when I was like maybe 11-ish, 12-ish years old.
Mhm.
And one thing I remember is me and my cousin. Again, we all have that one cousin who's your favorite cousin. The best cousin, the one you hang out with all the time. That one.
Mm.
Well,
Oh yeah,
this
yeah, I
one.
gotcha.
Well, this one, my best cousin. Um, you know, we bonded over Mario RPG, and years later we bonded over Legend of the Dragoon. And
Hmm.
it's just again when I think of well both Mario and Legend of the Dragoon, I kind of think of him and the time that we spent, that nostalgia that kind of surrounds that era of my life.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, you got something like that, Erica?
Not really.
Mm.
That cousin that you like, type of cousin that you talked about,
I
it
mean,
was more. It was.
it doesn't have to be the cousin. It can be any family member or whoever.
Eh, I don't think I really had something like that specifically regarding JRPGs,
Hmm.
at least.
I see. I see. Well, anywho, let's keep the track. So, what is the next topic of conversation?
Eh?
The topic of conversation. What is next on the itinerary?
I don't know. I think we essentially um, managed to cover everything.
Ah, in that case, I think, funny enough, this is going to be a very short podcast. But to be fair, some people probably like it short, some probably like it long.
Actually, from what I remember, our podcast episodes are typically around an hour long.
Hmm.
So this is just a little under
Yeah,
the
yeah,
usual time.
yeah. But in that case, in conclusion, JRPGs and RPGs are fantastic. They have a long history, and both sides, West and East, have inspired one another. We have the classics like Dragon Quest, all the way to Final Fantasy. Except for 13, we don't talk about 13, just like we don't talk about Bruno.
So basically, while it probably would eventually come to Japan, fantasy, like the fantasy genre itself, probably wouldn't be the way it was in Japan and in anime if it weren't before Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm. Because in all fairness, when you like, don't get us wrong, Japan still has great animations even by themselves, like Pokemon, Inuyasha, etc., etc. But though we kind of added to that list, like you got isekai, you got other elements, like again
Um,
Konosuba, you
I
got
said fantasy as like a genre.
oh yeah 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 yeah. I was
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of intertwining there too. But
Okay.
like yeah yeah yeah. But like again you got the legendary Konosuba. You got again isekai and things like that heavily are inspired by fantasy, by RPGs, D&D, etc. And you see
Mm-hmm.
it in games as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said and done, my little ice cubes, at
Mm-hmm.
last we must say farewell. Do you have anything
Oh,
else to? Oh wait,
I
what?
thought you were gonna say adieu.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh no no. Was there anything you wanted to say before we say so long?
No. Have a wonderful day, Chithonians, and we will see you next time.
Yes,
Mhm.
on Dragon Ball Z. Bum bum boom boom.
So long, farewell, Venus, and goodbye.